My name is Marty Gitlin, and the book we were talking about tonight is one of my many books. It was called A Celebration of Animation, the 100 Greatest Cartoon Characters in Television History. I just fell in love with cartoons when I was a kid, especially on Saturday mornings. We only had 3 channels on our TV set back then. That shows how old I am. And so there were limited opportunities to watch a lot of cartoons, but Saturday morning was my time. Then I brought up my daughters in the late 90s and early 2000s, and I watched a lot of the cartoons on Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon, and I fell in love with those too, and I enjoyed so much watching them with my kids. Plus, I like to rank things. I did the book where I ranked the greatest sitcoms. I did a book where I ranked the greatest American athletes of all time. So I decided to do the book where I ranked the greatest cartoon characters of all time as well, because I think it causes a lot of friendly debate, and it's just really fun for me to rank these cartoon characters, you know, based on different criteria, of course, that I used. And they're not my favorites, they're the best based on criteria. What was my metric or rubric for ranking these cartoon characters? I would say there's really 4 that were real prominent in terms of when my co-author and I should talk about my co-author, and I ranked them. Legacy, you know, how long these characters have remained in the American or really even the world consciousness, like Snoopy. We were talking about Snoopy tonight. Personality, whether they were evil characters or they were funny characters. Voice. Do they have unique voices? Do they have really cool voices? I think any character with Mel Blanc in it has a great voice because he just was a genius. And you know how much they contributed to the shows that they were on. If they were not like standalone characters, you know, if they were on cartoon shows, did they contribute a lot to those particular shows? That was also very important. So I think those were the 4 most important criteria that we used to rank the greatest cartoon characters of all time. Bugs Bunny. We rank Bugs Bunny as the greatest cartoon character of all time. And in fact, when my co-author and I were deciding on our top 100, I said to my co-author, so Bugs Bunny is number 1, right? And he said, yes, let's move on. My heart will always be with Warner Brothers. It's hard to pick a favorite. My favorite cartoon character of all time was Yosemite Sam, because he was just so wacky and he was just so out there. And I love exaggeration. I love exaggeration in characters. I love exaggeration in the premises of cartoons and cartoon shows and sitcoms and whatever it might be.
Donald or Daffy Duck?
Oh, Daffy Duck. I mean, you know, I'm always a Warner Brothers guy over a Disney guy. I liked Donald Duck, and in fact, we have Donald Duck in our book ranked ahead of Mickey Mouse, because Donald Duck had more personality, had more depth, he had some anger. But Daffy Duck, I have ranked number 4 in our book of all-time greatest cartoon characters, and Donald Duck was ranked number 9. And Daffy Duck, you can name just about any cartoon character from the Warner Brothers realm, and I will personally like him better than any Disney character. That's just me. Duck-a-Muck is also kind of the ultimate visual exaggeration or visual absurdity. And that's what's great about cartoons in general, because visual exaggeration, visual absurdity, you can't do that in real life television or movies or whatever, because it's just physically impossible to do that. In a cartoon, you could have a character fly to the moon in 5 seconds, you know, and you could have a guy going a zillion miles an hour somewhere. I mean, you could do things visually that you absolutely can't do in real life, and that's one of the great things about cartoons, and that's why I love them so much, because I love, you know, visual exaggeration. I love absurdity.
What was your favorite cartoon to watch with your kids?
That's a good question. I liked watching, and it wasn't a super funny cartoon, but it was really well done. There was a cartoon called the Powerpuff Girls. Buttercup, Blossom, and Bubbles. And I think the reason I like to watch it with my kids is because I could see how well they were enjoying it. And you know, I wanted to impart some of my love for cartoons to my children, my 2 daughters, and they really loved the Powerpuff Girls because they were kind of like good role models for little girls as well. And I knew that they were enjoying it, and so that was, I think, my favorite cartoon to watch with my kids. Many years ago, I decided I really, really want to do my own thing and do books that were my own ideas instead of assigned to me, which were the educational books were assigned to me. So I started writing a lot of books. My very first hit was the Great American Cereal book, which actually reached #1 on Amazon in the breakfast and Americana categories. It was all about the history of breakfast cereals, and it's a cereal encyclopedia, and it was a lot of fun. And it turned out it was in the New York Times and Time Magazine, Reader's Digest, Wall Street Journal, all did things on that. I mean, I love breakfast cereals. I just love, and still today I eat Fruit Loops and Lucky Charms and these cereals that are not really good for you, admittedly. But there was outrageous amount of research to do from so many different sources, from Kellogg's and Post and General Mills and Quaker, and going back into the from ads from the 1920s or 1930s, and trying to find some cereal that we missed, because it's a cereal encyclopedia. We had every cereal ever made in there. We have over 300 cereals in that book, and over 800 photos of cereals in that book. There would be some ad for a cereal in the 1920s. Oh, got to include that. We got to find out a little bit about that cereal. So it was painstaking. So I can't say I really, enjoyed it all the time, because it was painstaking, but it was so fulfilling to do that book and then get the kind of reaction we did. It was in Time Magazine, for goodness sake. There's a lot of things I did as a kid, that I haven't grown up very much at all. I still eat the same cereals. I still tape, Gomer Pyle episodes or Green Acres or All in the Family. A lot of the things that I liked as a kid, I still like today. And, I'm 64 years old going on 11. So I like it that way.